Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about education. First, we're going to start out with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And this is a good thing to know. You might need to know this for school. It might even be that at work, if you talk about this, it can, or if you have this in your mind, it can maybe help you even with being a manager. So what is Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Maslow's hierarchy of needs basically says that we need to get basic needs of our life met before we can pursue higher goals. So let's take the example of a child going to school. Okay, you've got a little child, they're going to maybe, let's say fourth grade. So what would they be, like maybe 9 years old, something like that, 10 years old, somewhere around there. I don't have kids, so they might be around 10 years old. They're in school and the teacher notices they're never paying attention in school, or they're falling asleep, or they always seem nervous. Then they learn more about their family life. Maybe those children come from a very poor home where the parents are both working and they don't have enough food at home. So they're coming to school hungry, or they're just coming to school nervous. Maybe their parents lost their home and the children don't know what's going to happen in their future. This is where Maslow's hierarchy of needs comes in. Before we can educate students, which is up here at self-actualization, creative pursuits, achieving your potential. Before we can get to these, we have to get these other needs met. If you don't have food, water, warmth, and sleep, life needs, you're not going to be able to focus at school. If you're worried about how to eat, or you haven't slept. If you don't have your safety needs met, so if you don't feel physically safe, you know how it is. If you don't feel safe, you can't concentrate, right? If you don't have a secure home, if you just don't know for sure where you're going to be next, you don't have home, physical, or psychological security, you're going to have trouble paying attention in school. What about belonging and love? What if there's no one at home that cares about you? No one cares about you. And you don't know who your friends are. You have trouble concentrating or thinking about these higher things because you're trying to meet those belonging and love needs. What about esteem needs? The need to feel like you have value, that you are able to accomplish things, that you have, that you're worth something, that if I try something, I can accomplish it. These are esteem needs. If you don't have that, it's hard to concentrate on school, right? But let's say you make sure a child is fed and that they have a secure home situation. You help their parents out. Now they're more secure. Every day they know what's going to happen. Then at school, they start to make friends. The teacher shows them that they care. When they go to school, they feel safe. And then they start accomplishing at school. They start doing well. They start, the teacher helps them to achieve. They are part of a team or a group, and they start doing well at that. Well, now they're getting these basic needs and psychological needs met, at least to some extent. Now they can concentrate on school. They can concentrate on school because they have these needs met. So let's expand from this and talk about generations. And we'll talk also about entrepreneurship. So we're at 4 minutes. It's probably going to be another 4 minutes. So if you just wanted to learn about Maslow's hierarchy, you can drop off here. Let's talk about generations. Some of my students, their grandparents' generation was a time of major upheaval. Maybe they were in China and there was the Chinese Revolution and everything changed. People were having trouble with food. They were having trouble with food before, but now everything's changed and they're insecure, right? But those grandparents really fought to make something of their life. They fought to raise this person's parents, right? And then as the parents grow up, the country's doing better. There's more opportunity, but still there's a lot of economic insecurity. What would those parents want? They want a secure job where they have an income and they know that they can feed their children. Here we are at these life and safety needs, right? And within that, they're trying to build a family and maintain their community, these belonging needs, right? Well, they sacrificed. I know in Korea, people did this. in China, and I'm going to talk about the US a little bit too. Young people now, their parents really sacrificed for them, or maybe their grandparents really sacrificed for them. And now they have a great education, world-class education, where they can start to think about becoming engineers and things like this. Well, education to the parents who grew up not knowing that education, they didn't have that education. All they knew is that their children needed a piece of paper to show that they passed a grade and give it to their job so that the job would pay them well, right? They didn't think about, until you know what it is to be educated, you don't know what education brings. So the young people see more opportunity. Their education has given them skills. I know how to think about running a business now. I have the skills to be an engineer. I don't just have to work in this country. I could work in another country. Now the parents are confused. Why wouldn't you just get a secure job and live a secure life? Why? Because the children have grown up in this. They have grown up getting their basic needs met. They've had their psychological needs met. And they have education. They believe that they can do things. And now they want self-actualization. They want to use these skills to do new and creative things. But the parents don't necessarily understand that, right? The parents wonder, why aren't you doing something that's just a secure job? Well, education gives you new opportunities in your mind. There's a reason why in the United States, during times of slavery, they did not educate people that were slaves. Why? Because education gives you skills and helps you imagine a bigger world and new opportunities. What happens when you imagine new opportunities? You start to become dissatisfied with what you have. If you are a slave or you are an oppressed person, you look around and you see these people have all of this and I only have this. You start to become upset with this, right? So education actually can cause some problems, even though it's giving you the skills to do greater things. Let's give another example. In the United States, there was a depression back in the 1920s, 1930s. My grandparents were very insecure. At that time in the US, in some places, people were burning money in order to fuel their houses because money was worthless for a little while. People had no idea how they were going to make money, how they were going to live. People had to travel in order to live. Travel and go work in a field or something like this. Well, my grandparents experienced that, and therefore they became very focused on being secure. Then my parents had a bit higher of experience after that. They became more secure, and now I'm here, and I'm thinking of doing all these things, and maybe my parents look at me and say, why are you doing that? Why don't you just have a secure life? Because with education, you start to imagine something different. You start to imagine something more. Well, this explains why. And maybe we can remember that our parents really love us, that they sacrificed for us. And maybe we can help to explain to them, well, because I have this education, I want to do more, right? But it's not just education, it's that the world has changed as well. For the parents, the only jobs in some countries were government jobs. Those were the secure jobs. Well, the world has changed. And now secure jobs are in corporations, not necessarily with the government, right? So things change. And when things change, it's difficult for generations to understand each other. Anyways, I hope this was interesting to you. All right, see you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to RJK English. Make sure to like and subscribe, and that will help me make more of these videos. I'm on YouTube and on Instagram, and see us on Facebook, and we can talk further.